Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. Today, I have Jason Douglas with us from PCS. This guy is so fun and crazy and awesome. And if you see him at a show, we should come up with a good dare to give him because apparently he will never turn down a dare. So that is our mission, right? We got to give him a dare, but we have to make sure he doesn't get fired. So we got to make sure it's a respectable dare, but he'll do it. That's what he said. So anyway, so happy that he's on here. PCS is doing some really cool things. They won Best in Show this past year at FreightWaves. And I think that's just as a testament to show what's funny is I guess I've always known about PCS, right? But they were never like oh my God, they're doing all these things. And now they really are making kind of a name for themselves in the AI industry. So pretty cool on that front. Really excited to see what they're doing. They're giving me a demo and going through all that stuff. But anyways, Jason is amazing, super fun guy. Whenever you go to a show, shake his hand, meet him. I promise you, he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. You'll become best friends. We're best friends. So don't take the number one friendship from me because I will come and find you. Anyways, let's jump in this episode. So excited. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, blah, 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 all the things. Let's jump in it.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Thanks so much for coming on. I'm so excited that you're here. We talked a little bit at BCS, but I'm like, I want one-on-one time with the J-Man. Is that what I should call
the
him?
J-Man. Let's get together and see what we can do to make that stick.
I know, right? I think
Yeah.
whenever you did that, which I think I need to clip that in here, that video that you did where you're going through the car wash thing or the truck wash.
Yeah.
I want to do that with you. We should
Yes.
somehow make this happen.
I don't work for a trucking company anymore, but we can hijack
fun
a
one.
golf cart and drive through a truck wash.
Yeah, we could totally figure this out. Like there's one of our mutual customers has something for us that we could do.
You know, this is where I put you to the test because I don't know if you know things about me, but one, I never backed down from a dare. And
Okay.
two, through my junior high and high school career, I've been suspended 16 times.
What? Why were you
Yeah.
suspended so much? What happened?
I'm a dare man. I was Johnny Knoxville.
I was about to say, so you're a jackass.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm Jason Douglas, and this is the fire alarm mixed with spraying a random student with a fire extinguisher. Yeah, you can't come back to school for a week, please.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's so fun. Okay, well, this is why I knew we were best friends. So I made a post the other day. I'm like, MTV's going away. What's the shows that like changed your life? And Jackass was one of mine. It was Jackass and The Hills, or Laguna Beach. Those are the two.
Laguna Beach.
But Jackass, like I had like my group of, I was mainly friends with guys back or still am really. So I had like this group of dudes that I was really good friends with. And yeah, they were like hijacking and like stealing grocery carts and like doing all these, we lived on the beach and it was just like skateboarding everywhere and doing as many crazy things as possible. Not as crazy as you were. I was.
It's not a competition. It's okay.
Well, it's always a competition in my book. I'm in sales. It's always competition.
Well, okay. It's not a competition. Let's just say I'd probably have the primetime slot and you'd be on at midnight, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I would be way less interested in what I can do, especially now that I'm older. I am not doing anything. I just want to stand there and cheer you on. That's what I would do now.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. You know, I'll just highlight a few things here because I have no shame and I'm, that was a different life ago, but,
Yeah.
I streaked, got suspended for that. I peed my
Yeah.
pants for money. I got suspended for that.
What?
Yeah. You know what was bullshit is I got paid for it because it was a dare.
Yeah.
And they came along, took all my clothes that I had set aside, and they confiscated my money, kicked me out of school,
Oh my
told me
God.
that they gave the money to my mom. And, I'm a little entrepreneur. So 7th grade me is like, look, Mom, I know you got there's like $120,
Yeah.
which
That's a
translates
good
to
amount of
like
money.
$500 in today money.
Yeah.
So I was like, where's that money at, Mom? And she's like, I swear I don't have it. So I got to go back to school on the last day of school to get my yearbook. And they're like, yeah, we put it in the athletic fund because of when you streaked through the girls' basketball game.
Oh my God. What jerks. Yeah, that's messed. Like that's hard-earned money,
That's hard-earned money the hard way.
Yeah. Dang, dude. So I only got suspended once. I was drinking in school. Not a pride moment of myself, but yeah, I got caught doing that. And I used to have like my locker had like a bar. I had like just drinks there and people would come up and buy a shot. So yeah, entrepreneur myself there too.
You were
I was the
selling
bartender.
shots?
Yes.
Nice.
In the middle of the school day. This was like my freshman year too. And Rebel, rebel, rebel. And then,
Great
luckily,
plan. I
I
bet
made
you
it
could
out.
get $5 a pop for that, maybe
Yeah.
even 10.
I made really good money. Yeah, I think I was charging 10.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, where else are they gonna get anything? Their parents' cabinet? No, they
Yeah.
got it from school and failed their
You don't
classes.
like the price? Go to the liquor store. Oh, wait, you can't
Yeah,
because you're in high
exactly. I
school.
had to hustle to get those drinks in there. It was hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that was
hustle's real.
I know, and then, that's when I lived in Minnesota, and then I moved down to the beach area, with my or I moved to Georgia, and then I moved down to the beach area, and so at the beach area, that's whenever I was like I had, like, all these dude friends, and we were like, just skateboarding and doing all the things and skipping school. I wasn't actually I did skip school a lot, but there was one class, my chemistry class, the first day I walked in, she was like I guess I made fun of her or I hurt her feelings. I don't really remember what happened, but I had to have I'm sure I was making fun. I was kind of class clown a little bit. Anyway, she was like, "You cannot come back in here. Get out of my classroom." And then it was like so this is in Florida, and so like they have like the outdoor trailers for some of their classrooms. And so every day I'd walk outside to go to her trailer or whatever in her class. She'd be like, "No, you're not coming in." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm not kidding, every single day. And so then I would just hop on my board and it was 2 blocks from the ocean. So to hop on my board, go 2 blocks down and hang out at the beach until that class was over, and then I'd come back up. And so then, of course, obviously I failed. I told my dad's like, "Why the heck? How did you even fail something? Like you always have good grades, whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, she wouldn't let me in the classroom. I couldn't even like usually I skip, but I'm good. I'm a good test taker, so I could go in for test day and I would do fine, so I'd have good grades." And I'm like, "Yeah, she wouldn't even let me in for test days. Like she wouldn't let me in there." And so then he went up to the school for me and he's like, "Either she gets a B or I'm suing you." And they're like, "Okay, she has a
I
B."
I needed one of those, but
Yeah.
to be fair, I wasn't made for the school system. The school system's cookie cutter, and there's kids like me that are, have higher emotional intelligence than we do IQ, and unfortunately, that doesn't really pay off till later in life.
Yeah.
Then we find jobs like, podcasts and
Yeah.
speaking at conferences and networking and relationship building and then it comes to play. They're like, "You're never gonna get a job where you can talk." Well,
Well, look
turns
at
out younger
yeah,
people don't like to talk, so ha ha ha, we'll have a
exactly.
job till we die.
I know. Yeah, yeah, once I got into sales, I'm like, "I get to just hang out with people all day? Yes, sign me up. That's what I wanna do."
Yeah,
So what was
100%.
your so right after so you graduated and then you went further and did what? What was after that?
Well, I started working I went to our community college here, and then there's a technical sales program. So I always did sales, summer sales, cold calling, that stuff. But
Uh-huh.
really, my main job was for a plumbing supply company. They had 5 warehouses here in Utah covering 600-mile radius, and I worked at one in Ogden that, I'd load the trucks every day and then I'd delivery drive. And then a few months after that, I moved into the shipping and warehousing where I'd plan the
Mhm.
trucks. And shortly after that, I went to dispatching to a real over the road trucking company. And then from there on out, I had, sales, dispatcher, recruiting, director of recruiting. I got my NATME, director of safety. Then I was director of safety and recruiting all the way through 2022. And then vice president of operations. And then here at the tail end of 2025, I moved to PCS.
Yeah, PCS is a great company too. I hear so many great things. I know one of your customers is like would die by the sword. He loves it so much. So I
I
know
love it.
yeah,
That's honestly the culture that we're trying to create you know, it stems from the top down and then back up again. And, you're only as strong as your weakest link and,
mhm,
your weakest customer if they're having problems. How do you do that? Over 1,000 customers, it gets a little tricky, but, over the last year and a half, with our new CEO just hitting his 2-year mark, we have all the right people in the right seats
yeah,
rowing the right
that's
direction. And that stems from if you saw us at FreightWaves with Danielle up there and speaking and presenting and best in show at FreightWaves with our new product. And we're just building on that momentum. And
yeah,
this is my favorite job I've ever had. My
that's fun.
role specifically, vice president of community and engagement, our CEO, created that role for me based off of my skill set, which is amazing because I get to do what I love to do and network and bring sales
Yeah.
leads and go in on sales calls and help with marketing. And I'm kind of just a Swiss Army knife and get to do these type of things, PR
Right.
relations and talk at conferences. And, there's some corporate reporting and things like that that go with it. But overall, just the team that we have and the job that I have personally is my favorite role I've ever had.
Yeah, it's fun. What's interesting is like kind of like as you get older and you have all these different skill sets that you build, kind of like your Swiss Army knife, right? Like versatile, I can do all these different things. Getting in a role where you can really show that off, I think is really fun because a lot of times people want that cookie cutter and one. This is your one role. This is what you do all day, every day. And I know I can't do that. I would go crazy. Yeah.
Right, and using all the skill sets is great. I love to talk, I love to brainstorm, but the biggest thing about it is I don't think I've been a part of growing cultures and getting there and improving, but I've never been established as a team that wants to win together and
Mm,
celebrate those wins, and I feel like we're there now, and it's just heads down, rowing the right direction, full support from everybody and the right supporting cast, the right stars, the right, down to our engineering team, our coders, our customer
yeah.
service people. Everybody's just awesome.
That's cool. That makes such a difference when you work with great
Such
people.
a
Yeah, and I think it takes a good leader to pick those type of people because that's hard. So a lot of people can have a shell of a, interview and like they act a certain way, but to like actually pick the ones that after the shell comes off and after all the new wears off that you're still the same. Oh, this is a cool, awesome team years in makes a big difference.
Yeah, and Mark, our CEO, he's a visionary. He's really good at that. He's newer to the trucking industry, but software and AI, and he's just an expert in that and running a team and hiring the right people, empowering them, putting people under them, and so on and so forth, and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. He's awesome at it, and there's teams that I've seen across other industries that do the same thing, and they're the difference between the ones that thrive and make it up and the ones that just exist.
Yeah, and I think customers feel that, like, even whenever they're demoing or they meet the crew and they're like, "Oh my god, these guys." I mean, people wanna buy from their friends, and I talk about that all the time where I'm like, when I'm in, like, a sales cycle or I'm going to a conference, like, we're gonna become best friends, and then after that, maybe it works out where, sales-wise, I can help you or whatever, or maybe you know somebody who I can help, but I think really just building that bond and having, like, like, "Hey, yeah, these are my friends that I want to work with." I think that makes such a difference as a customer.
Big time, and most of the people that I buy from, we were friends, and they've never tried to sell for me
Yeah,
until it was time for me to buy, and, I still have plenty of really, really good friends in this industry that I've never been their customer, they've never been mine. We've either been competitors or whatever
right.
it may be, but we're just,
Yeah,
just connect.
yeah. So I think that something too people don't realize is you never know where you're gonna end up or where they're gonna end up. So it could be having a relationship even with competitors, I think is huge. I know that's something that I try to do all the time, and even whenever they dog me on something or whatever, it's like, I know it's fun and play or at least in my mind, that's how it is. And so yeah, that's cool. Let's, real fast, just for people who don't know PCS, give a little run through of kind of everything that you guys do, and then let's also talk a little bit more about the product because I'm interested to hear the new stuff because I wasn't at FreightWaves, so I missed that whole Justin show and stuff. So spill it all for me. Tell me everything.
Yes, PCS, part of the reason why I came here is because I saw the new product that they were building and I'd been told about it and when Mark had kind of approached me for coming here, I knew that this was a top of the industry doesn't have a product like this and the
Yeah,
way it's gonna work is just it's awesome. So PCS, we're a TMS company, but we're really just a software solution. So think of a trucking company that operates 100 trucks, 10 dispatchers, a shop, a brokerage, all this other stuff. EMS is the brain where all of that data and knowledge lives in. And really, you're more better, that's not a word. You're better off the more that your TMS, the more comprehensive that it is
right.
and what it does and the information. Because shit in and shit out, right? So you have to have good data first. So if you're capturing this good data, then all of a sudden, with the power of AI, you're able to take mundane tasks and just make them streamlined where it's just helping you in the background. So now all of a sudden, me, Jason Douglas, a dispatcher, I'm also a load planner for 50 trucks. I
Oh,
can
wow.
find backhauls. I can do all of this other stuff where the AI and the dispatch assist and all these other things are working in the background.
Wow.
There's cool thing, lots of people in this space are talking about AI and its
Yeah.
buzzwords. My advice to anybody in this space shopping TMSs is demo it and see it in action and then ask for implementation time. For us, it's product that we have ready that we started building 2 years ago. There's lots of people that are just getting on this trend now, and
Yeah.
that product is nowhere near close to being ready. Not talking smack on anybody or
Right.
anything, but
No, it's
make
important to know
sure
when you're shopping.
yeah, just make sure that you know where they're at in the product line and what they have and what's true AI and what's just a process that's done inside the system.
Right.
So true AI and natural AI, the cool thing about it in our product is it starts to learn which drivers you put on loads. And it starts to suggest them, and after our trial period, it was 97% correct for a 3 month period.
Wow.
It did the same thing that we would have done. So it takes in things like hours of service and if the driver needs to be home, if they have time off, all these backstops and things to really support your drivers because
Uh,
at the end of the day, drivers are what give you and I jobs and
Yeah.
everybody else. We have all these shows and all these conferences and hundreds of conferences a year that drivers aren't even invited to, but they're
Right.
the ones that push all of this stuff. And so we need to give respect where respect is due. And I think it's about time that we give them help, not just drivers, but the companies to make it easier for the drivers, for dispatching, for directions, for routing, for fueling, for parking, for whatever it may be. There's a laundry list of things that we can help drivers on.
Yeah.
Um, and they deserve it, and we owe it to them.
Yeah, 'cause I think that's interesting. Even just like "Hey, this guy wants to be home on these certain days," or whatever. Sometimes as a dispatcher, you forget, unless if you've been working with that driver forever and it's the same routine every time. But if it's like, "Hey, my daughter has a birthday this date, and remember this so you know I get home," then we're humans, and we may forget that. So I think even having like an AI agent that's remembering and then also scheduling that way, it takes that it makes almost like the satisfaction of a driver. Hopefully, I'm saying this right because I don't think I've ever seen the product actually, but
Well, we should set you up with a demo so you can see it. So we can organize that off camera. But
yeah.
you're absolutely right. AI and these systems and the SOPs are set up for backstops. So not only can you put in things where it sends birthday cards, things like that automatically that you have in the system, but
Oh,
when
wow.
you put in a time off or whatever it is, you're knowing a week in advance. And they've had stuff like this similar for the last 20 years where you could put a stop for their birthday. Well, now it just goes in even more detail, right?
Yeah, with
Like you
routing
can't dispatch them. It's right in their face. It's a reminder. It can keep reminding you and simply it just won't let you put them on a load if they need to be home. So the companies that are going to have low turnover and keep their truck filled are the ones that are going to execute on home time, keeping mileage high. That's why we have a backhaul booster. So if you're sending a driver to Michigan in 2 days and you don't have a backhaul for him yet, you can use our AI system to find him the best paying freight to get him back home,
Oh, wow.
or her back home, and or just to keep them running so they're not sitting getting layover. Which layover is kind of a trigger word for drivers because across the industry it's hit or miss of who really pays layover or detention. They tell you, if you
Most
sit for
don't.
24 hours, you get X amount of dollars. Well, that varies from $50 to $500. I've seen it
Yeah,
be anywhere in between there. But I've also seen anybody that pays any of those try their hardest not to pay it.
yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
you set for 23 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Sorry. It wasn't
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yeah, and even shippers try to do that too. So I think even just
Yes.
understanding, I mean, because a lot of times broker-wise, it comes from the shipper. It's not really them. Sometimes they're hoarding things, but most of the time the shipper's not paying out, so they don't wanna lose. No, that's interesting. Are they so, PCS really, from what I know, like, high level, whenever I'm referring people, it's basically like if you have a heavy, trucking fleet and things like that, and then even having an arm of a brokerage, it's a good system to be heavy trucking, but then also help you with your brokerage side too, because you guys do both, right?
Absolutely. So we don't do brokerage by itself.
Yeah.
If you are an asset-based carrier that has a good sizable brokerage, whether you do ATL, LTL,
Well,
LTL, ludicrous, whatever you're doing,
yeah.
we help with that. So, full truckload, LTL, your brokerage, and really what it is scaling your business without having to add a whole bunch of people. One thing, I wrote an article and I talked about how my whole career, since I started in trucking, our formula was 5 office people for excuse me, 5 trucks for every 1 office person. That was kind of the
Okay.
formula.
Yeah.
And now we're finding out people are able to go closer to 10, closer to 15 with
Mhm.
using some of this technology. And in conversations with, our CEO, Mark, he is always bringing up when is going to be the first $1 billion one person company. And he believes AI is going to bring that there.
Wow.
It's interesting to think about, right? But
Yeah, it
really, you could have a full book of phone agents and booking this and billing and I
right.
mean the sky's the limit. So it's I bet we see it in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's kinda scary, honestly, because it's like I love AI for a lot of things. I like it when it enhances, not replaces jobs, which it seems like that's what yours is doing. Because I think at the end of the day, like, 10 for 1 driver, then basically that means you can pay that driver more per mile because you're not having so much overhead. That's essen
Exactly.
yeah. So then that
Exactly. And
the
and
turnover low and
your people that waste time looking for freight can now focus on driver quality
yeah,
and really survey your drivers and you don't have to lose anything. And I think when we're talking about maybe $1 billion company that's ran by one person, we're talking like high level e-commerce
yeah,
shipping that's just all automated. The thing that you and I, we have jobs because trucking is relationship based business and
right,
we need people and that's our strength. And we're in this business because we're in the people business. I know how to talk to drivers and I've been well respected by drivers and vice versa. I respect them. And so I've always had a career that wise, but AI isn't going to beat you.
right,
People using AI smart are going to beat you.
for
If
sure.
you're not looking at solutions like PCS, your competitor is going to have it. And that's scary because
Yeah.
they are going to beat you to the better paying freight on the load boards on the spot market every time. You can't compete with some of the tools that are out there.
And honestly, this isn't just like a new AI thing. Like every time there is like a new breach of like let's just say visibility. Like whenever tracking first became a thing, because I've been in the industry since whenever that first started, or right whenever I guess I got really implemented. And so like that change of not having tracking to tracking sets you so further apart from the other. I'm talking as a broker, I guess, but having that so further apart than other brokers who are doing those manual check calls and can't give that customer service. And so it's kind of the same thing. Like it's hard to jump on the bandwagon every time like a new surge of tech comes out. And like you said, the buzzword of AI can be like overwhelming. And there's so many AI companies, it is overwhelming. I totally
So
get
many.
that. It's so many. And so I think the biggest thing is like whenever you're shopping, really it's like knowing exactly what your problem areas are. What do I spend the most time on? That is like oh my God, if this could get solved, this would change my whole world. Like the making those checklists and then finding a company that can execute on it and also has like great data privacy. And because I think that's another thing too that's kind of scary with AI is that like, AI can talk and give information from this company or that company, and having, like, an established company that's handling your AI makes a difference than just, like, a fly-by-night new AI company that's, you know, the cheapest and whatever out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Also, anybody that's just coming into the game, not saying that they're gonna have new tech, because that's gonna happen, and it's gonna be cool stuff, but there's also if they're coming into the game doing what other people have already been doing, they're 2 years behind, you know?
Right. Right.
Mark came in, our CEO, and saw this and started building it way ahead of the curve. So we're pretty far along in this process and what we're building. And there's road bumps and there's things that, that happen along the way when you build it. But Mark is just such a good visionary and Danielle is so good at designing products that are needed for this industry and getting your
Mm.
team working efficiently. So I think we do have one of the best teams. I think we have one of the best products, and it's going to be fun to watch us execute this year, at
Yeah.
a higher level. Because and what you said earlier was spot on. Of people need to get a little educated and then write down what your goal is for your TMS, and then
Mhm.
shop for that. Don't
Right.
let people push you towards features. Don't let them push you towards this. Look
Shiny
towards
objects.
what is actual added value, what's going to, in sense, bring you more revenue, because that's
Right.
really the goal.
Yeah, or at least saving time. Like, I think ROI also, people think it's just on investment, but I think time is, especially in logistics, it is money. But on top of that, like, you can just adjust your time totally different. So, yeah, I think definitely coming in, and that's everything you ever buy, especially tech wise, is you need to have your pain points. And do you touch these 10 pain points? Do you fix all of these? And then, yeah, if they got shiny objects and it looks cool here and this features here, yeah, cool, cool, cool. But if they're not hitting all your little check marks, I promise you there's a solution that does, because there's so much tech out there right now. Like, whenever we go to shows, isn't it insane how you're like, "Oh my, there's another AI company, there's another one of these." Like, what? It's crazy. So I'm sure as a consumer, it's, like, overwhelming to find the right one.
It is, and a lot of it's just noise, coming from the carrier side myself, and I think that's part of the value that I bring to PCS is having real world applications with most
Yeah,
of these tools and the ability to see where the value is. Some people, bless their hearts, have the best intentions with the product, but it
yeah,
doesn't have any real world feasibility to it. It's
yeah.
just not going to work, or you're not going to spend 5 grand a month on that product, or it's not as game changing as you think it would be because you haven't been in that situation. To tech companies and stuff that just come out and create stuff, it's so important to have that industry knowledge to help make sure you stay on track and you're going in the right direction.
Right, totally. It's interesting because, like, being part of the tech side too on my end, like, every time they're coming out with a new feature or a new product, whatever thing, they're always come to me because I was a broker, and they're like, "Hey, if we did this, how would that affect your operations?" And then after they speak with me, they bring customers on, they talk to them, and I think getting that firsthand feedback, or even, like, going in and trying and have people try it out first prior to going in. So you guys saying that you built your AI and it took you this long, that means, like, you guys have really dug into the workflow and is like, "Yeah, this is what makes sense," and, like, because there's so many exceptions, and it's insane how many weird things, like, no matter how long you've been in the business, I promise you, you'll hear something new whenever you're in there. So, I think that's why people get scared of AI. It's like, how is it gonna know this is needs my attention, and that they still want their, like, hands in it. But I think having a company that understands the actual, like, you being in the trucking industry before, you get it, like, you've seen all the exceptions, or not all of them, but you know what I mean? Like, you get what usually will trigger that.
Yeah,
Um
and I've been woken up hundreds of times at 2 a.m. to put
Mhm.
out a dumpster fire
Yeah,
that, AI could do. They could find a breakdown. These clone ops, shout out to our partner there.
yeah,
They have some amazing products. And I mean, you could have a an agent find you a tire or call out roadside service and not wake somebody up. In today's day and age, every carrier that's made it this far probably has pricing set up. They probably have tires, road call services, all that
yeah,
stuff. So it's kind of controlled at some level or another. Just put those rules into your AI calling agent and call it good. You don't got to have a dumpster fire.
yeah,
Beforehand, I wore it like a badge of honor. I was like, oh
yeah,
man, I'm going to put out fires today. That shit's messed up everywhere. But like,
right.
really, that's like,
You had
shouldn't
your
be
list that
the
you were
case.
calling. And I mean, maybe they're, like, in the middle of Wyoming and there's literally nothing around. Yeah, you should wake up a dispatcher for that. That
Sure.
there's not a, local guy that we have a thing with or whatever, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's really cool that you guys have that. So just my stuff, I guess, is a lot more heavier on the brokerage sides. Most of your like, on the brokerage end, like you were mentioning, it has like, you would have your asset side and then getting in the brokerage. How does a workflow talk where, like, if I'm in my brokerage and I'm assigning my trucking company a load. How does that work within your guys' system?
Yeah, you can just assign it right over. Depending
Okay.
on what you're doing. It'll also even look at things like if you don't have a carrier, excuse me, a driver that can haul that load, it'll suggest that you move it to the brokerage side,
That's cool.
and yeah, and there's tons of companies out there kind of doing some similar things, but because AI has the ability and is connected, your TMS, that's the brain, is connected to your driver's hours of service. It can tell what's possible, what's not possible, where you need help, where you need drivers. And if you don't have drivers or hours in ATL, I'll use that again,
Yeah.
then, it might tell you need to put that up on your brokerage and sell that load.
Well, and being ahead of the game on that, I think that where carriers that have brokerages struggle the most is whenever that happens and they're finding it out day of, and then they have to go to spot market and they got to go to load boards and they got to pay more, and that's when they lose money. And then they just think of the brokerage arm as almost like a burden because they're losing money on the lanes. But if you can predict that stuff, 2 days, 3 days in advance, you can work on those lanes earlier and you get cheaper, better trucks.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies run with like the idea of it's not a problem till it's our problem that day. I'm
Yeah.
putting out fires today. I'll deal with tomorrow's fires. Well, we have predictive maintenance. We have all these other things coming out.
I
We can
understand.
predict these fires well before they happen. So in the next year or two, the battle is going to be who is more efficient
Huh.
with these tools to save more money, to save time, to deliver freight on time. Because there's going to keep coming up with more things, not just
Yeah.
PCS. Everyone else is going to come up with things. So it's really going to be on the fleet of what they choose to use and how effective they are in using them, such as like finding loads. Are you putting everything out there to do that? Are you moving your fleet forward? Are you putting your load for sale 4 days early because you have that information? So why are you not putting it for sale earlier? So it's really going to be the battle of optimizing your TMS and your other technology providers.
Yeah, because what I've seen just from customers that I know and people I've met in the industry, the ones that really do stand out and are from here to here as far as, growth wise are the ones that take advantage of, getting proactive in dumpster fires, right? Like this is gonna happen at some point. Let's be proactive on this. And that goes with like everything. Like even so my stepdad, he owns real estate. And so like all the rental properties and stuff, oh well, this AC unit is X amount of year old. Let's go ahead and do a full workup on it instead of it breaking down. Then I got to pay after hours. And I got to do that. You know what I mean? Like it goes
Yeah.
for so many different like I can't wait for AI just to handle my whole life on my house maintenance. You know what I mean? And so think about that with having that already for your fleet. So it's very cool. I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. And it just even goes to like something. It's not AI, but just predictive and knowing what your day is going to consist of, like Dutch Bros Coffee or Dunkin' Donuts, where they have people outside taking orders so that your drink is ready for you. That's not AI, but it probably could be. They could have an iPad out there. I'm sure that's next in line.
Yeah.
But the process is what they have is sound, right? Because they're able to take those orders 50 cars back and handle,
Right.
what it seems like 100 cars per every 20 minutes. It's nuts. So
Right.
just it's all about your procedures, your efficiencies, and then what you said earlier, execution is the biggest separator. It's how you are going to execute
Yeah.
on these.
Getting all the knowledge and then doing something about it. Yeah. No,
Yes,
that was a great
ma'am.
analogy with the thing in the lines. Didn't even think about that. Wow.
Well, I took my daughter to Dutch Bros the other day, so yesterday, so I was like, we are not waiting in that damn
Right.
line. And she's like, Dad, watch this. I'll order it from my phone and all we got to do is pick it up. So we bypassed all the suckers waiting in line for the people outside. And she just walked in. It was sitting right there. She'd already
Oh,
paid for
man.
it. And I'm like, all right, I guess you can get a coffee if it's like that.
Yeah, she's a winner then. She knows how to work the
It's a winner.
I
That's
love
for
it.
sure.
Well, how can everybody reach you and your company and kind of, we definitely need to set up a demo. I want to see what your guys' stuff is doing. So we'll set
Yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to show you. Are you going to be at anything coming up?
I am. I'm going to be at Manifest. I'm actually going to be in something in Atlanta in a day. And then Manifest TIA Broker Care Summit. I don't know. There's a bunch
Broker
of them.
carrier some at Laredo?
No, not Laredo. I'm doing Kansas City only. Are you going to Laredo?
I am.
Fine. Yeah. What's your shows? Where are you going?
So I'm going to Indiana tomorrow for their trucking association boxing night. And then I'm
Ooh,
going to Laredo. And then I'm going to TCA and then TIA Kansas City Broker Carrier Summit.
I know. I need to make a list with like all my things because I can't even keep it in the very beginning of conferences. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going yet.
I decided to be a little more proactive this year. And I've already been to Houston once this year, but those are all my trips. You can't even see it. Those are all booked trips so far in the first
Ooh, look at you.
through February. So I will be traveling almost every week, every other week for a lot this year.
It's hard doing the trucking conferences. Like, luckily, I only have to do the broker conferences, but the trucking and broker ones, yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of
It
traveling.
is, but like for me, TCA is almost like a vacation because
Okay,
all my friends are members there. I'm
fine.
involved in a bunch of groups there, and the TCA are my people. So I enjoy any TCA conference very
Yeah,
much. And then this year, we're really getting our sales reps out into the territory. So it's exciting to travel with them and go to events and
yeah,
do customer visits and things like that. So PCS, check us out. Cortex, it's the future of, AI and TMS and how people are going to dispatch and save
yeah,
money and build workflows that are really effective for them. Check us out, get a demo. We'd love to show you. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Jason Douglas, or you can just ask Danielle, hey, what's your bestie's number? Or can I
yeah.
talk to your bestie? And
Yeah.
she'll hook you up.
Exactly. I love that. That's actually the right answer. Whenever I ask people that, like, how can people reach you? The correct answer is ask Danielle to connect you. Yeah. Good one.
Yeah, there you go. And if you need to connect Danielle, just go ahead and reach out to me. I'll hook you up with her.
Yeah, exactly. Vice versa. We're besties. So besties.
Yes, we are besties.
I
It's
know.
a ongoing relationship. So we'll get you a demo. We'll keep
Good.
continuing our best friendship
Yes.
and feel free to reach out at any time.
Love it. Love it. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining in.
Thanks, Danielle.
Tell me everything. Everything. Tell me everything.